I want to get into this one more time. I did it in the first hour. That way other radio shows and some of the TV shows can pick up on it. They use my stuff and they hate me. I don't get it. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. There is a subscription website available. John Williams's Shadow Government Statistics. It is a superb site with superb information. And we've linked to the public homepage on my social sites. And I want to point out something to you, thanks to this gentleman, that has not been pointed out before, unless you listen to the first hour of this program. The actual 2012 federal budget deficit is over $7 trillion for 2012. 2011, it's over $5 trillion. Because what Williams does is he uses generally accepted accounting principles. That is a phrase of art. GAAP-based accounting. That's required to be used in the private sector for any business. The 2012 consolidated financial statements of the United States government. And their own consolidated financial statements show $6.9 trillion deficit for fiscal 2012, up from $4.6 trillion in 2011. In other words, we have an absolute runaway train here. And the latest details show the uncontainable and uncontrollable actual federal budget deficit to be deteriorating rapidly. And he's basing this on figures released by the Treasury Department yesterday. Those deficit numbers, he writes, reflect consistent, generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP, on current fiscal operations, plus year-to-year deterioration in the net present value of unfunded liabilities for entitlement programs like Social Security and Medicare. Reflecting the time value of money, that is, the value of money today. The net present value represents the amount of cash in hand needed to cover future obligations. Based on tentative calculations from numbers in the report, total U.S. government obligations, including the net present value of the unfunded liabilities of social programs, is about $88 trillion, or nearly 6 times the annual U.S. GDP, 6 times the value of all economic activity that takes place in a single year. Even so, significant accounting problems with the statements continue, including material issues raised by the auditor, the General Accountability Office. As a result, the GAO does not offer an opinion on the statements, but with fully proper accounting, the actual 2012 deficit likely topped $7 trillion, with the 2011 deficit topping $5 trillion. That's a disaster, an utter disaster, an unequivocal disaster. And the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, you keep putting this off and putting it off and putting it off, and as I've said many, many times, the laws of economics trump the laws of politics. So even if there's political will at some point, there is an inability, a human inability to fix what's been done. Because like the laws of physics, the laws of economics kick in, and you have a disaster. That is, the economy is always going to correct itself, one way or another, one day or another. And that's what it's going to do. So those of us who do work, those of us who do try to put money aside, those of us who do buy a home, those of us who do make investments, whether they be modest or otherwise, everything's going to be lost. Now, the statists and the rhinos are going to keep pretending that when I speak as I do, that it is extreme and controversial. I'm reading to you the numbers from the federal government. What's extreme and controversial is the fact that we're on this runaway train and they won't hit the brakes. They're in the food car eating Hebrew National hot dogs, Mr. Producer. They're in the food car eating peanuts and pretzels. When the Acela train is headed for a wall. And you're there saying, there's a wall, there's a wall. Oh, sit down, you're being extreme. You're a little over the top, aren't you? You reach a point, even when you hit the brakes, you can't stop. It's too late. That's the point. I try to make these parallels for the drones. Yellow, you drones out there. Yellow, Lance Armstrong, yellow. Anyway, these are the real numbers I'm giving you, the real numbers. And then I got to thinking, over the next 10 years, given the course Obama has us on, it is estimated that that fiscal operations over the next 10 years, not just unfunded liabilities, I'm putting them off for now. Ignore the unfunded liabilities for the moment. Pretend you work for the federal government. Ignore the unfunded liabilities. Now, focus on fiscal operations. Fiscal operations over the next 10 years are estimated to increase the national debt from over $16 trillion, you ready for this? To over $25 trillion. If interest rates go to 5%, that means interest payments alone each year would be $1.25 trillion. This is where Obama's taking us. Harry Reid, the Democrat Party. How the Democrat Party even has members today, I'll never know. You really have to be a drone. You have to be an ostrich. You got to put your head in the sand to completely ignore what's going on. This is why I'm not going to watch the inauguration on Monday. I don't want to. What are we inaugurating? A disaster. Okay, fine. He's president. Nobody's denying that. I'm certainly not. Go to your different inaugural balls. Have a grand old time. We'll have parades and everything else. What are they going to use as confetti? Printed dollar bills? But we see this coming. You and I, we see this coming, and we see nothing being done about it. Oh, we have an idea. Here's our idea. What is it, Charles? Here's my idea. Don't get into a fight you can't win. But we got to get into this fight so the American people know exactly what's going on. We've got to get into this fight because it's the only way we can win the next election cycle. If we're passive or if we're simply trying to position ourselves, no. Don't get into a fight you can't win. So here's what we do. Guys. Let's all get together. Here's what we do. We go to Williamsburg and we have this GOP confab. And we bring in these pollsters and the smartest consultants we can and all the good guys from inside the Beltway, and we all get together. And look, we came up with this genius idea. We'll raise the debt ceiling for 3 months. And then we'll tell the president and Harry Reid, look, this time we really, really mean it. We're not going to raise the debt ceiling after that. Until we have a budget. And exactly how you're going to enforce that in 3 months. We really mean it in 3 months. We may not have meant it the first time with the continuing resolution, after the Tea Party gave us the majority in the House. We may not have meant it when it came to the debt ceiling in August 2011. We may not have meant it with the fiscal cliff, although we must say that was a success for we Republicans, as we've explained over and over again. You're just not listening. We may not mean it this time around on the debt ceiling, but 3 months after that, we really mean it. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, trillions and trillions of dollars later, every year that goes by, trillions and trillions of dollars later, we have a Democrat Party that is actively destroying our country and a Republican Party that is impotent. That's why I tell you, there are other ways to be active. There are other ways to participate, including with the Tea Party Patriots and other organizations, Media Research Center and so forth. There are things you can do. But the Republicans have a real idea. You know what they're going to do? They're going to take over the primary system, you see. And they're going to take over the primary system. We can't have any more conservatives. We can't have any more Tea Party activists. They're screwing things up. So I'm taking Monday off as a mental health day. No, I won't be watching the inauguration. I don't need any more Castro-like propaganda. I don't want to hear it.